Okay, next up we have Simon Marsden from the University of Edinburgh, I think talking about a student survey that Edinburgh have done, but possibly not. So you tell me, Simon. Yeah. Over to you.
Quite right, Andy. Student survey. We've been planning to do some of the things that we've all been talking about here in terms of delivering services to mobiles, but we wanted to know the answers to some of these questions. So, do they have smartphones? What would we need to support if we wanted to deploy native apps? Do students actually use their phones for accessing the internet? And what did they want? So we ran a survey. So you had a lot of surveys and a lot of polls. You're going to have all that again now. I'm sorry about that, but I promise you no love in this time. So we got nearly 2,000 of our students to respond from one email, which we thought was a fabulous response. And you can see from the demographics there that it was a very good sample. It really matches our population of students very well. We were worried that maybe the international students wouldn't respond or the older students wouldn't respond or all that kind of thing. So we got a very good sample, we felt. And what came back was actually rather ahead of what we heard earlier this morning, in the sense that the general population has 15% smartphones out there. We're up at 50%. So that was pretty encouraging. And we then wanted to know who were the vendors who were supplying the phones, because if you're going to do native apps, you need to know what platforms you're dealing with. And it came out that Apple, with the iPhone obviously, was by far the largest at 35%, but the others weren't insignificant, with Nokia, BlackBerry and HTC, HTC being the main vendor of Android phones at the moment. And so if you want to do it across native apps, you're going to have to support, I would suggest, those 4 platforms. We also wanted to know whether the contracts were actually limiting the students' use of the phones, and clearly it isn't. They've all worked out how to get decent contracts at the money that they can afford to use the phones that they've got. And interestingly, we have rather more people saying that they've got contracts which allow them to use the internet how they want to use it, than we've got people with smartphones. So there's people with older phones using the internet through these kinds of methods. And the sort of comment that we asked, another question in this area, was around how often do you use it? And 50% of the survey, so roughly matches to the people who've got smartphones, said that they were checking their email and using Facebook several times a day through this system. So they're really in there doing it. What do they want to do? We gave them some choices, and these were the things that they came back with. Now, some of that you've got to recognize maybe is a limitation of some of the things that we deliver at Edinburgh. So being able to see their timetables, a problem at Edinburgh because we don't have very good data on their timetables anyway, it's hardly surprising that would be up the top. But on the other hand, I think it is the kind of thing that they would want to do. And you'll see in there that there is relatively little which you would say was immediately educational or learning in there. So we also asked them what sorts of things they would like. And there was a little bit of a wake-up call for us in here, because top of the list there is easier access to their email. So that's already something they can do. We just haven't done a very good job of making it easy for them to do it. So we need to learn that. And one of the other things that came up was that they find it quite difficult to connect to the internet. And Jeff and I had fun over the last few days with me deleting his Eduserv settings off his phone and then not being able to recreate it and make it work again. So I really do understand the problem of installing certificates and making it work on your mobile phone. So there's some more work for us to do in just getting the stuff that we've already got more accessible for people. I think that was quite clear. But on there they have 2 things which I thought were interesting. They want WebCT compatible with their phones, WebCT being our learning environment. And they wanted to be able to see podcasts and videos of their lectures on their phones, both of which are things I think we can look at, although the WebCT, obviously, we're dependent on the vendors. But the other things that they wanted are more in the lines of what I call more administrative type of functions. And I think that that's probably where most people's minds are. What are the things I'm trying to do on a day-by-day around the place? So is the library open? Are my books due back? Where can I get my print credits topped up? Lectures being cancelled? All those kinds of things which you might say were more admin functions, I think, very much are in there. So just to wrap up, I did originally have on this slide lighten up across the top, and I wish I'd left it there, particularly after Chris's thing, because I feel we're all going to have to lighten up to cope with the changes that are coming, the types of things that are happening to us. So last thing I wanted to do was to thank Lisa, who's sat over here, and if you want to know any more about the detail of it, Lisa ran the survey, and if you want to grab her at coffee, she'll be able to tell you more about it than I can. And all of the analysis, all of the data is available at that URL if you want to find it. Thank you.